Incoming message.
It was the dawn of the third age of mankind. Groovy.
Hi-ho. This is me, Kermit the Frog.
Hello there.
Moopsy.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Not a great plan.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Different roads, same old spark. Talking Trek till the street lights spark. We're those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT Cammon lighting up the airwaves. Blasters of books, we're geek to the core. Laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys.
Yes, indeed, we are those sci-fi guys, and this is that Those Sci-Fi Guys show. Just two working dudes who rely on jobs and a whole lot of love for science fiction and the fun that comes with. We're your hosts. I am P.S. McKay, and Washington, D.C. tried to kill me, but I'm back and better than ever. Yeah. Back and better than ever, everybody.
I'm DT Caveman, and you sound better than ever.
Oh boy. Golden tones of Cicero coming from these pipes right here. Woo, boy, it's good to be back, though, I'll tell you. DT, we took a couple weeks off. Good to see you again. Appreciate it.
Of course.
As we had said previously, I was in DC for about a week and a half, and it was got to see the sights. Pro tip: if you go to DC nowadays, don't go during a major sporting event or maybe a 250th anniversary event, only because the mall was completely cut off, like fenced up for number one, the World Cup, and number two for the American Carnival, the 250th Carnival, celebrating all 50 states and seven territories. Those hadn't opened. The FIFA World Cup watch party area had opened up, but the fair hadn't. We also had a UFC fight, which happened just a block and a half from my hotel. And yeah, I know the unfortunate potential that might have happened that the FBI caught ahead of time. I could have been directly in the line of, which, crossed all of our minds when we were sitting there seeing this news story. But it was a wonderful time. We got to see the White House. We got to see the Declaration of Independence, and they had the there. Did you know that, DT?
They had the what?
They had the Magna Carta there. One of the four copies of the Magna Carta in the National Archives, where the Declaration of Independence is.
That makes sense.
It was amazing, and it was filmed. I'm sorry, it was filmed. It was signed and ratified on June 15th, the day that we were there, back in 1294 or whatever it was. Like it blew our minds. It blew our minds. Like that was a pretty wild thing. So, but we got to see all the monuments, and I got to watch the Senate in session, which we didn't expect was going to be in session, but we got to see all the names. Chuck Schumer, all of them are at the top. John Kennedy, Tom Cotton, John Fetterman, all of them were there. They were there voting on something, and we didn't realize that they were there for a vote. And Lisa Slotkin, that was the first one we recognized. And so we're sitting there up in the stands, and we're seeing that a vote's happening. We're like, what's going on? And then we're seeing the senators come in, and they either do a yay or a nay. Went to the door frame and did that, or they went all the way into the chamber and tapped on the table and did a yay or nay. John Kennedy got us in trouble by from Louisiana. He looked up in our direction, smiled, and waved. What is it that a tourist, you see a senator being friendly and wave? You wave back. Well, as soon as that happened, apparently that's a no-no, because one of the not general of arms or whatever, but one of the people security came running and, oh, you can't do that. You can't wave back. There's no communication from the watch seats. Like, okay, all right, understood. But then he and Tom Cotton went to the other side of the chamber and waved and smiled at the other side, and they were all waving and smiling. I'm like, oh, you guys are doing that on purpose, you bastards. So they knew. But that was fun. We got to see history in action and stuff. So that was neat.
Good.
Yeah. We saw Gettysburg, and we're going to talk about that next week. Amazing tour we took, I got to say, and we'll talk about that. I got to see John Washington. Sorry. A lot of Johns going on. I got to see George Washington. Sacrilege, too. George Washington's tomb at Mount Vernon. Yeah, that was shocking. That was, you want to talk about humbling. Like you're literally right there at the crypt for the first president of the United States. The general, he was what do you call him? The Supreme General of the Continental Army?
It was the Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you for that correct.
Man officer, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah. Great. It was humbling. It was amazing. I want to buy a plot of land and make a copy of his house that I can retire in, but I also need the hill and I need a body of water to look out over.
Yeah.
Not asking for
That's
much.
some prime real estate there, Mount Vernon.
I don't think I'm asking for much, but we'll see. So,
and then I want to be immortalized in a tomb and a monument and everything.
No. I'm a very private person, DT. But I do want the
the podcaster.
Yeah, I know, right? That goes, hey, I do a podcast. If you're interested in sci-fi, here you go. Yeah, of course we're on Spotify. Who's not on Spotify? Jeez, Louis, you gotta be a loser if you're not on Spotify. Took us a few years, guys. Anyway,
it's funny. Some friend, one of my kids' friends' dad was like, "Oh yeah, he's a sci-fi fan." He's like, "So I started looking at you guys on YouTube. I'm like, I started looking you guys up, and you guys got a lot of episodes. Well, where do you recommend I start?" I'm like, "Go to YouTube. Start with the YouTube stuff.
Just start now."
we if you want to watch some past stuff, go to YouTube. You could look at our website. You could go iTunes, some of the deep dives, but like the first year or so, the sound quality's bad. Where we were trying to find our feet. This is and while we had some good episodes, and we really did, if you watch a podcast, it's probably better if you just go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gotten to that point where I watch podcasts now, where nature of my job allows me to, though. But
it also, a lot of podcasts have visuals. It's not just people talking to each other. It's what we do. Put up video clips, put up, pictures, polls, all this stuff. It's more interactive now. It's not really a pod anyway.
No, and that's the funny part. Think about it. Podcasts now are about 21 years old. I started listening to podcasts 20 years ago when I got my first iPod in 2005, or 21 years ago. And I got my first iPod, and I was able to use iTunes to be able to download the Frosty, Heidi, and Frank radio show and the Adam Carolla show when it came out in 2006. Like, I was able to use podcasts to catch up on the radio shows that I couldn't listen to in their entirety. And that was the funny part. Like, podcasts allowed me to listen to the radio when I really wanted it to. And now I don't listen to the radio anymore because podcasts are completely different now. But it's such a weird it's such a weird evolution. And I could guarantee you that our kids are probably going, they've heard podcasts their entire life, but do they even realize why they're called podcasts? Like,
Probably don't.
I mean, the term
what it
podcast have been irrelevant for at least 10 years, maybe longer, 15. Like,
Well, yeah. You're no longer listening to it on your iPod.
No,
So-
I shoot. Now I got to look up when the iPod was discontinued, just because.
I still use one.
Pod
It's in my car. I update it. It's where
Yeah.
I get to keep my music. It's nice. Anyway,
Nice.
you know, you did some U.S. history. Recently, we did some U.S. history. My family and I last weekend drove out to Western Rhode Island, where they had a copy
Fossa Glosta.
right nearby.
Yeah.
We went to West Greenwich, and there they had one of the original print copies of the Constitution, or not the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence,
Oh, that's
which had
right. I
been
saw that.
which had
Yeah,
been
that was
sent out to all over the place. Now it's, you know, it's the broadsides, you know, and this was an original recreation from
Mhm.
that was made in 1776 that was sent, you know,
To send
each-
to all the newly
every
independent
colony,
states.
yeah, got a bunch of these that are supposed to, you know, that they were supposed to be read to the town and whatnot. You know, not many people think of these things as the ones to save for posterity, but this one had actually was found at like an auction in New York, and the state of Rhode Island interceded, and they got a hold of it. So it came back about 20 years ago. They did some refurbishment and whatnot, and they put it on display. We drove down there. They had a neat little encampment. You know, there's a couple of militiamen there. Talked with one of the militiamen, who of course was a former soldier who had been in the Rhode Island National Guard. And talked to them. I was wearing one of my Army shirts, you know, veteran
Braggart.
hat, that sort of thing. You know, actually, I was wearing this hat, which
Yeah.
is what I bought this in Boston at one of the stops along the Freedom Trail.
Oh, is that Colin Kaepernick approved?
Fuck him.
I know, exactly. Thank you. I
He
love
wasn't that
hat.
great a
It's
quarterback
hat.
anyway. Well,
He
it's the
never
original
was.
13 stars. And it was just, I actually was up there for work. I was checking out a site, and it happened to be right next door to one of the stops. And I noticed there was a little gift shop. So I walked in and I poked around, and I got a few things. And, you know, the nice, you know, hat. And this was, I think, 2 years ago. But I've worn it on like the 4th of July last year. I wore this when we went out, and it's fitting for this time of year for us. We're going to do a 2-part podcast with 2 separate movies from 2 separate genres to celebrate
Very,
the 50th.
very different kinds of movies that literally are about America. America.
But
Yeah.
this one today, as we are only a few days from the actual 250th, is the 1996 summer blockbuster Independence Day.
This
Which
is
had-
a remote drop.
Yeah. You know, it has everything from rousing scores and rousing speeches to overacting extras, and it had one of the most remarkable advertising campaigns I'd seen in my life at the time. When I was young, obviously we were teenagers when this came out. Actually,
Mhm.
within a week of here, I actually went over to Europe for the first time, so it was very interesting. But they
Oh, you
really
went to
didn't
Europe
show.
the week after that, huh?
Yeah. So
Oh,
I remember, you know,
Sorry,
standing
I
in
interrupted
line
that.
in these mobbed theater, you know, like on whatever the 3rd it was. Like they were, and they pushed, like they said, like, oh, it's only going to open on the 3rd of July or the 4th of July. And like they really pushed it. Like And they were kind of having you sell it
set
like
for the 3rd.
Right. And it's like, but it's only going to be in theater for like these 2 days or something like that. They really
really?
Like,
they said that?
Oh yeah, they played it up, and then they're like,
that.
we're gonna have special screenings on the 2nd, so we're gonna expand it by one more day. And
that was a
man,
Wednesday,
the marketing was wild.
Let me see.
Yeah, but it was
30 years
so
ago.
crazy. Yeah, man.
I saw it with you and all the neighborhood dads. Sans my father.
We all went, like all the dads.
Yeah, we all went.
All the sons, we all went. There was like 8 of us or something in line. It was wild.
Yeah. July 3rd was a Wednesday. Hell yeah.
Shit you not. You could. It was like lines into Disney World, you know?
It really was.
It was
pretty
insane.
crazy.
And it was so wild too, because first off, the teasers, you didn't see, they didn't show any actors. It was all like crowd scenes and battle scenes. Like, you didn't even know who the stars of the movie was, because this was 96. So the internet was like nascent. It wasn't on your phone or anything like that. Like it was in this, this was all under wraps. Like, you didn't even know who was going to be in the movie until like, I don't know, 2 months before the movie came out, maybe. It was wild. They really pushed this thing. It was a wild marketing campaign.
I found out about this movie a year prior when I got the X-Files official VHS of the pilot.
Oh,
it's 2 hour and back then they would put like little teasers and trailers of upcoming movies for the next year when you bought that VHS. And the teaser is like, "Oh, sir, I'm reading a very large object about a quarter of the size of the Earth's moon coming at us. Why didn't we detect it before? It just appeared, sir. Well, how do you know it's a ship? Well, it's slowing down, sir." And in that moment when they said it's slowing down, I'm like, "Oh my God, I gotta see this thing. And then you see the explosions happening, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this has to happen. I got to see this." And that was amazing. That was a great. I was hooked by that trailer.
Yeah, they in 1996, they had a huge marketing campaign for the movie, starting with airing during the Super Bowl. It was 1.3 million to air it at the time. That's a drop in the penny comparatively. And there was all, much? Oh yeah. So, and listen to this. So they had like, and seeing some of these notes, the taglines, I remember some of them now. "We always believed we weren't alone. On July 4th, we wish we were. Earth, take a good look. It could be your last. And don't make plans for August."
Yeah, that's what this one says right here.
Yeah. So
it's so good.
They really hyped this up. So like it could, and while I know it receives mixed reviews, it also made a shitload of money back at the time, just ridiculousness.
I accuse anyone of shitting on this movie of being a heretic and a Philistine. That's all I got to say.
Oh, both.
Yeah. Both, because fuck those guys. If you're upset about this movie and you need to crap on this movie, yes, it's an absolutely ridiculous premise, but guess what? Still plausible. It's an absolutely ridiculous solution, but guess what? It's an homage to another alien invasion movie. And actually, when you actually read the book, it makes sense how the solution was able to be procured. Which I read the book before this movie came out, you assholes. I know.
So. I read the book after the movie came out.
I read this book at the end of 8th grade. I was reading it right before my algebra exam, my final. And I was reading it after my algebra exam because I wanted to forget about my algebra exam, which that was the first class I ever struggling in. Yeah. I think you and I both had that same struggle. That was fun.
It happens.
Yeah, the saddest book I ever read was my algebra book. That was the first book that really made me cry.
So this movie, its budget was $75 million. Its box office was 817.
Okay.
This is in 1996, so clearly it was a box office hit.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at this. I mean, my God, this is a great shot right here, especially for
highest grossing film of 1996 and the highest grossing film ever at the time, behind Jurassic Park. And it won Academy Award for Best Visual Effects and nominated for Best Sound. Okay.
And this,
now that we've gotten all the...
Hold on, one more technical. This movie holds a distinction of having the most models used in a fight sequence or an aerial battle than any other movie, and it'll never be broken, because after this movie they started relying on CGI more and more. We're never going to have battle sequences like we saw with Independence Day, which were all models.
Yeah. It was pretty good too. The special effects at the time were phenomenal.
They really were. They really were. And they hold up. Okay, so how do we want to structure this? Because we always struggle with this. Or maybe we don't struggle and I just think we struggle, which is entirely plausible.
Well, let's just basically talk what it is, okay? It's a very simple thing. As you know, various people throughout the United States are getting ready for the 4th of July. You know, all of a sudden this huge mothership shows up in Earth orbit, and then they start pumping out these saucers that start hovering over major cities. And, you know, for like a day, they're trying to figure out what's going on, right?
On July 2nd, they arrived.
Yeah, exactly.
On July 3rd, they attacked.
So, you know, you're following back. You're following the President of the United States, played by Bill Pullman.
Hell yeah.
You know, Lone Star himself.
You have an honest to God prince.
Yep. You're following Jeff Goldblum as like a computer genius who's like working for a telecommunication company like TV.
And he's a greenie.
Yep.
He basically is Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park.
Yes.
But working for cable.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's fine.
And you've got let's see. You've got
Will Smith.
Randy Quaid is a drunk crop duster dragging his family around, who's been kind of, you know, shamed by everybody because he believes he was abducted by an alien 10 years before. And then you have Will Smith, who's a Marine fighter pilot, who's getting ready to propose to his exotic dancer girlfriend.
Yeah. Oh, what is it you do? I'm a dancer. Oh, LA? Exotic. Oh. She's bleeding internally. She still has that social awkwardness, the first lady. Played by the woman who played Rosalind from Battlestar Galactica.
Mary McDowell.
Yeah, thank you. And everyone, by the
Mary
way,
McDonald. Mary McDonald.
Yeah, Mary McDonald. By the way, I brought something back with me from DC, which is why DC almost killed me, everybody. So
sure. It's
been 2 weeks. I'm just now beginning to feel like human again. So I might cough here and there, FYI.
Yeah. But you're following these people as everybody's coming to grips with what's going on, right? Obviously,
pretty basic
the president
story, right?
And everybody is getting, the military and the president are trying to figure out, what's going on and preparing for, any sort of unfriendly activity. So like Will Smith is called back to service with his wingmate, fucking Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah.
I guess that was originally supposed to be for, I believe that was originally supposed to be Matthew Perry, but I think he went into one of his rehab stints at that time.
He was, yes, and Harry Connick Jr. jumped in, and
Yeah.
it worked. It worked. Matthew Perry kind of would have. Matthew Perry was a team player. I don't get me wrong, but I think by accident his on-screen charisma would have kind of been up against Will Smith's at that point, and it was just better to have it Harry Connick Jr. There was nothing wrong with having Harry Connick Jr. It was fine.
It was fine. Yeah. You got so they're trying to do it, but meanwhile in New York, Jeff Goldblum is like he's like a satellite and computer wizard, and he's like there's something he's noticing patterns, and his ex-wife is the communications director for the White House, and he's like trying to get a hold of her. She's not listening to him because he, I guess, punched the president during the campaign, but when he thought that she was hooking up with him.
Yeah.
And of course, his, elderly, Jewish dad, played by the great Judd Hirsch, right?
Oh, the greatest. The greatest.
And so there's LA, New York, and DC, these three big ships hovering over.
I want to share this.
Over other major cities in the world, not just the US. And
for fear of a copyright strike, can we just play this once? This one moment.
Will Smith waking up after getting ready for a barbecue.
There's talk. A lot of people on the block.
Let's go.
Still forward. He's on a hill.
Hey, you want some of this coffee? Hey.
Okay. They live. I just now realized that they live in La Crescenta, maybe Eagle Rock. They're off the 2 in LA. I just got that shot when I could see Dodger Stadium and downtown in that angle. This is the first time I've been able to locate that. That's exactly where an exotic dancer would be able to get a nice house. So, at least back in the mid 90s.
All right. Well, needless to say, Jeff Goldblum's trying to, he thinks he's figured out some of their transmissions. So he rushes to DC. Everybody is like either streaming out of the city.
Everybody's leaving DC. We're the only ones coming in.
He said, we're the only two schmucks trying to get in.
Yeah.
And there's a great picture of this one car just driving into the city. There's no one on the highway.
I got it.
Everybody's coming the other way out.
Yeah. There they are.
They're driving, they're walking. Mm-hmm. It's definitely interesting. They're trying to get to DC. But there's also people who are like thinking that the aliens are here for them and it's here to party. And like one of the, stripper friends is going to this rooftop party to celebrate and welcome the aliens.
Oh, okay. This is going
to. Police are reminding Los Angelinos to please not fire their guns at the spaceship.
I remember that. The theater just was laughing at that. I'm like, no, that's a good idea. You shouldn't do that. But this is the friend. And the book actually gave her a backstory where she had a rough background, not a kind boyfriend. And she liked the sci-fi stuff as a retreat.
Very good.
But a sci-fi person would not be that naive. We could talk about that in a little later because I do want to talk to you about a scenario. Oh, but yeah, needless
to say, like the Marines are called back in, so Will Smith goes back to his base, and he's like trying to convince his girlfriend and her kid to get out of Dodge because it don't feel right. Yep. So the president has ordered evacuations of the 3 cities, but then, all attempts at communication had failed. They tried to do the,
without the
close
tone.
encounters with the lights,
Yeah.
and it got
I didn't
blown
realize
up, and
that
they're
was
like,
the
oh, maybe that's
homage.
offensive.
Yeah. But it really was, wasn't it?
And then they just drop these, energy beams, and it just blows everything up. Obviously, of course, there's the legendary scene of it blowing up the White House. And like the beam, I think, went through.
It went through the White House. In the book, it went through the Washington Monument because it was the tallest building in the area. But for some reason, Hollywood was told that we couldn't see the White House blow up directly, which is why they put that helicopter in the front. Did you notice that?
Well, for me, it just made sense too, because like everybody's evacuating and only one of the helicopters gets out, right? It's only Marine One.
Yeah.
So they take off, but so the president and then some of his staff get away, and then it's utter chaos. The Air Force, the Marines, they're all flying out trying to, fight back, and they're all getting their ass waxed because there's some sort of, force field. Will Smith's squadron gets decimated, but he manages to outfly one of these things and causes it to crash, basically by using his parachute to blind him and then fly him into the side of a cliff. And he captures one of these alien pilots and starts dragging him through the desert, and occasionally stopping to violate. I don't know. Do the Geneva Conventions work with extraterrestrials? Who knows?
No, they didn't sign shit, so no.
Right. Meanwhile,
just like the Japanese
his girlfriend,
didn't sign shit, so
his girlfriend and her kid manages to hide in one of these access panels in this, in this tunnel, and avoid the fallout from the blast in Los Angeles. New York's decimated. Where poor Jeff Goldblum's buddy Harvey Fierstein gets smoked as he's trying to get out of New York.
Screw my lawyer, call my mother.
But because Jeff Goldblum gave them some knowledge, they took Jeff Goldblum and his dad, in Marine One and flew off, and then they make it to the airport and they take off in Air Force One with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the conniving, douchey Secretary of Defense, who has these.
He plays a universal asshole in every movie.
Every movie and TV show, for the most part. Yeah, he was really good in it.
Guy. James Reborn.
Yeah.
He's very good.
One of those,
He's very good.
One of those legendary jackass guys. Plays a great dick. But yeah, they're arguing over what's the plan, and like, oh, well, we got to go to Nellis, and they wiped out the Joint Chiefs, the vice president. Oh no, the first lady was out like in LA in a tour, and they couldn't find, and her helicopter never made it out. And then she's found by Will Smith's girlfriend, who's Jasmine, and she's like gathering all these people up. She's finding survivors, and like, I don't know, hijacks like a trash truck or something. And they're like driving through the ruins of LA, and they find the crashed first lady. And then they're eventually able, and people start making contact, like all around the world, everything bad is happening, but they fly to Area 51. And it's like, oh, this is a safe place. And, in the background, Judd Hirsch is like, come on. You guys knew the spaceship out in Roswell. And they're like, oh, sir, that's just an urban legend. And the Secretary of Defense is like, oh, well, not really. What?
Do you really think it costs $27,000 for a toilet, sir?
$10,000 for a hammer? Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
so good. So, such peak Jewish humor. It's fantastic. And they arrive, of course, they arrive.
Sense. Yeah.
Right. And they arrive at Area 51 and he takes kind of control, and they're like other military units are trying to figure out what's going on. They tried sending a nuke in Houston, and that didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like it was great, this big blast, and then it's like, oh shit, it didn't do anything.
Just leveled the city instead.
Yeah.
Which you would think that they would have shot on the top of the ship, not the underside of the ship. But
it's wild. Meanwhile, you've got Will Smith going through the desert and runs right into Randy Quaid and this group of this like wagon train of people who drove out into the desert to avoid everything. They're like, "You need a lift?" He's like, "Yep. What do you got?" Got the alien, and they drive to Area 51, and no one's going to let them on. And they're like, "This is my
pass. This is my pass, or this is my security clearance right here."
Yeah,
move along.
The alien, and this is where you meet sci-fi legend Brent Spiner as the crazy Dr. Oken, who has been testing not only an alien ship, but testing on alien bodies, which were apparently the Roswell crash or whatever. They've been here for 50 years, and then all these gizmos started lighting up a couple of days ago. It's really exciting. It's like multiple cities have been made. Yeah.
It's so exciting. It's been really exciting the last 24 hours. Like, that's what he said.
Yeah.
Now, the book explains this as that, just like the hive mind worked with the aliens, the technology worked in a hive fashion as well, where the mothership, the big ass quarter moon size mothership, provided it used the law of Tesla, free energy, where it provided an energy field that gave power to the other ships, and then also the fighter ships and everything. And that's why they couldn't do anything with the ship that had been left in 1947, because the mothership had left. So there was no electromagnetic field to allow for a powering up of the systems. But now that there was a mothership there, that ship was now usable.
Yeah.
And it worked. And also, I'm just going to say this now, in the book, they said we learned a lot about computing by pulling apart these systems and independently powering them, which means that the whole computer revolution that happened in the 60s and 70s, 80s, 90s was because of that ship. So we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. The alien wakes up and, uses Brent Spiner to communicate. But where they're basically saying, there's not going to be any peace. The president's trying to make communication to try to work out some sort of treaty, and it's like, no. So they shoot the shit out of the alien eventually. The glass
Adam Baldwin does it. Is that glass bulletproof? No, sir. Take him out.
Boom, boom.
Will do, sir. Or he says something more satisfying.
Nothing is funnier than seeing people in Class A uniforms with firearms. It's absolutely
I know,
ridiculous.
Right? I know.
But anyway,
hey, it was a crazy time. The Earth was being invaded. A lot of tears were had. weapons were being found. You just got to do with what you had, man.
Sure, exactly. They authorized the nuke. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure everything out, and then they are found. Steve Captain Hiller, aka Will Smith. He's like, you know what? This is all well and good, but I got to go back and find my family. So he steals a helicopter, flies to the ruins of LA, somehow finds his, girlfriend and, this small group of people. And the first lady picks him up. They fly back to Area 51. Unfortunately, the First Lady succumbs to her injuries. President's royally pissed. Fires the douchey Secretary of Defense.
Nuke him.
And then
they already lost the nuke. Yeah,
yeah. And then as it ticks over to the 4th of July, Jeff Goldblum figures out, it's all talking about getting sick and everything, and figures out how to give them a computer virus which shuts down the shields. They try shooting at the ship with a gun, with a regular handgun, and deflects, the force shield. Then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," because everybody's dodging ricochets and yelling at him. He's like, "Oh, hold on!" And he hits this thing, and he's like, "Shoot it again!" And he shoots this Coke can, right, or Pepsi can, or whatever, off of it, and it's like, okay. So how do we do that? Well, we have to upload it into the mothership. And they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, let's do that. How are you going to do that?" "Well, we're going to fly this ship up there." "Who's going to fly it?" "Nobody can fly it." Will Smith's like, I can fly it. I fought against it." "Oh, clearly that's how it works." "Sure. But okay." So they attach a couple of bombs to it.
Pretty simple tool.
Sure.
Instrumentation that they had. Forward, back,
anyway,
left,
they
right.
figure it out. They realize they got to go up to the mothership. So science guy and military guy get in the ship to go do this. And then, the U.S. military, the president reaches out, through Morse code, by the way. Classic understood, communicates with people all around the world. They had those scenes in the desert where there's Israelis and Arab planes sitting next to each other, and all sorts of shit Egyptian. All over the world. Right. I just couldn't remember the specific, but it was supposed to be we're all coming together. Oh, it's from the Americans.
England and Iraqi. England was in Iraq at the time, and it's from the Americans. They said they figured it out. Well, it's about bloody time. And I'm sitting there in the theater in that moment. I have to say, as a stupid 15-year-old, I went, fucking hell. Why would they rely on us to come up with the solution? There are other countries around that can try to figure this out too. Now, as a 45-year-old bleeding heart American, there would be no one else that could figure this shit out. We all know that.
Well, needless to say, it was an American film. It was centered around American
We all
characters
know we would have figured it out. No one else could have. You know this, DT. You know this.
All right. Tone it down. You're a little jingoist right now, even for me.
No. America. Yeah, go ahead.
So they organized this massive assault that's supposed to be like all aircraft, around the world, launching basically a simultaneous attack as soon as they get word that as it's down. Unfortunately, Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum kind of get delayed. They're trying to hide from the aliens while they're sitting up there, and they're like, "Oh, can't listen." Yep, amazing. Must go faster.
Scary. Like they're brought in through a tractor beam, and by the way, the music was by Dan Arnold, who also did Stargate in 1994. There's a lot of similarities between the themes of the two.
Well, I believe some of the production was, some of the people who did Stargate also worked on this movie.
The director did. Yeah. Stargate as well. So they all rolled over, right? So
right. They rolled with Roland.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's what it was.
Anyway,
it was good, but we got to see they had ground troops there, ready to go, which I didn't realize the first time around watching. But there were ground troops lining up, ready to go, getting on troop transports.
Yeah,
stuff.
They're getting ready for the full-on invasion. Which, by the way, the aliens had this weird exoskeleton. They look kind of squishy and weird on the inside, but they had this hard bone exterior. But it was like an organic exosuit, so that was interesting. But realizing that they've got to make this work, they fire up they're uploading the virus. They launch a missile. into the basically like an alien control room, blow it and get out of Dodge, while the aerial assault is commencing around the world. And by this point, they're asking for anybody who has any flight experience, because they have planes, but they don't have pilots. And of course, Randy Quaid, the drunk crop duster who had flown combat, I think during Vietnam, I think is what he was set up as, but also had fallen on hard times with the drinking and the alien abduction. He's like, I want payback. And everybody's like, okie dokie, bro. And they're firing missiles. And, once the shield's down, they're able to cause some surface damage, but they can't really do anything until, this ship is now about ready to pop over Area 51 and drop its beam on them. And that's where the surviving leaders are, their families and everything. And they're starting to run out of missiles. And, Bill Pullman, after his great rousing speech, today is our Independence Day, we will not go into that good night and all that shit.
We will not go quietly into the night. We will not go without a fight.
Yeah. The most overacted extra in movie history.
And perfectly well done. Yep. And it was perfectly well done. No notes.
Yeah, it was great.
No notes, sir. No notes.
Yeah. It was really good, and they took off. And he's out of missiles, and the machine guns is not going to, if the missiles are barely doing anything even to the surface. I mean, they're causing damage, but it's minimal. It's like fighting a Borg cube.
The ships are so big. I mean,
right.
They can take a lot of damage without, affecting sensitive systems. So
they decide they're going to take out the main weapon. It's like the first pilot in A New Hope, where the missile impacts on misses the exhaust port, and the missile hits one of the pedals that opens in front of the weapon, and then Randy Quaid's like, I got a missile, and so they're flying around, giving him cover, and then his weapons jam. He's like,
protect that plane.
All right. And then he's like, tell my children I love them very much. And he flies right up into the, hello, boys, I'm back. And he
miss me? Yeah. Or remember me?
And flies right up into the weapon as it's about ready to discharge, and the explosion of the plane and the weapons disables the weapon, and it causes a chain reaction and blows up the ship. So they send that note out to everybody: how you destroy it is you got to blow up the weapon. And so you start seeing all around the world. This was the attack. It's like these guys must be like a hurricane in Florida, just taking those suckers out.
Well, the world responded, and we got to see all around celebration, all the ships crashing, and and
then their fighter planes being chased off by our fighter planes, and all this.
Yeah. What was the big thing? So Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum, they have to get out of the mothership because crash land and stuff. But
yeah,
I remember the biggest criticism that one of the dads in our group had was, how is it possible that their cigars are still lit and they crash landed after getting out of a nuclear explosion? I can't keep a cigar lit in my living room watching Monday night football. Yeah, I'm like, maybe they relit it. I don't know, sir. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I think that the dad has said that, unless you weren't you were paying attention to something else.
I may have been just engrossed in the movie, as I was.
Well, this is in the lobby, but yeah.
Oh, well, needless to say, it was a rousing success. The celebration, the homage to those who fell, and then you're kind of left with like Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum, kind of like just pimp walking out from this crash with the cigars.
That was
lit.
the hero walk right there. God damn.
And there are women rushing to them, you know.
Yep. Earned it. Earned it. Have you ever been able to do that kind of walk? I don't think I have.
A handful of times. It usually came with redeployment.
Yeah. Okay. So you at least got to, but it came with sacrifice.
A little.
I got you.
As
it always does.
As it should.
So, yeah.
But let me tell you, this was a real crowd pleaser. This was awesome. Oh, and we did miss. They got married in the chapel at Area 51 before they go up on the mission, with the witnesses being Jeff Goldblum and his ex-wife, who are now obviously back together. So it was if you were looking for deeper meaning, this was not your movie. But if you were looking for a mind-blowing, for the time, rousing popcorn adventure movie, triumph, good over evil, independence from oppression, humans punch the aliens.
Yeah,
this was the movie, and it rocked. For
15-year-old
boys, it rocked.
It served every purpose it was set out to do.
Yeah.
And thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm doing with my left hand, but thank you, Captain Willard. Man.
You know what? This was a fun movie, right? So Will Smith, this was kind of at the start of Will Smith in like back to back summer blockbusters.
This computer shot right here, by the way.
Yeah.
1996 laptop right here.
Yeah. Apple. Yeah.
Apple.
Big. He had his own little
graphic interface, just wow.
Yeah. That was super cutting edge technology at the time too, right there.
Yeah, it really was. It was the top of the line. Look at that.
Yeah.
So
but you actually had a pretty solid cast. Will Smith, Bill Pullman, Jeff Goldblum are basically your top three, actors. They're the ones who you kind of follow, all three of them, right? Then you have well-known supporting faces. Mary McDonnell, who had a big breakout a couple years before with Dances with Wolves. Judd Hirsch, who's been a long time TV actor, so he's
been around forever. As
Robert
everyone knew him
Loggia.
as Dear John.
Yep, or in Taxi, but yes. But you get Robert Loggia as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He'd been in a bunch of things, playing good guys, bad guys, but usually tough guys.
Necessary Roughness.
Yep.
That
was great. Necessary Roughness.
It was my favorite role. My favorite role of his. That was my favorite role. Now, can I want to bring something up just for fear it might bring something down.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see Robert Loggia in Independence Day 2 Resurgence.
Oh, right. It was just before he passed.
It was right before he passed, but in the context of that movie, he was probably killed in that attack, wasn't he?
I've only seen parts of the sequel.
I think he was killed in that attack, and I'm sitting here going, that was a terrible send up. I mean, it was great to have him on, as an honorific and everything, but that was a terrible way for that character to go. All the characters in the first movie, the way they went in the second movie, just completely disagreed with. Like, again, deconstructing our heroes, that's what happened.
Well, I think also didn't Will Smith was only going to have like a small role, so he bailed, I think is what it was supposed to be.
He had a small role, and he realized this is not going to look good for this character. It's not worth my time. And he was right. He was right. And so they just killed him off screen. They just said, he was a good enough pilot to be able to outfly an alien in an F-18 Hornet, but he wasn't good enough to, fly our test planes, our test hybrid planes. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You know,
Gotcha.
you got the legendary weirdo Randy Quaid, who was on point in this movie.
He was
But
definitely
you did.
Cousin Clark, Cousin Rand,
Cousin Eddie.
Thank you.
Cousin Eddie. You
Yeah,
know,
he was Cousin Eddie, basically, with a little bit more responsibility.
Sure. But you got other character actors, of course, like Harvey Firestein, Adam Baldwin, Brent Spiner. You know, you get recognizable faces, enough people who it's like, oh, okay. So, you know, it was enough, it was enough that you recognize people, but at no point were any of the main three actors like
Dan Lauria,
huge stars.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
I forgot that he was in this. Kevin Arnold's father.
Yeah, there were a few in there. You had a few.
Yeah.
I always like when you see some of these faces, But needless to say, it was a fun movie. You have a lot of great popcorn moments, a couple of jump scares, explosions. It was a summer blockbuster.
It was the perfect. I would argue it's the perfect solid summer blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have heard that, and what was the unusual thing about this summer blockbuster, DT, that might jump out to you, might not, because it's been 30 years and you've lived with this movie in your head. So, is there something unusual that was different about this movie than other summer blockbusters?
Yeah, it happened in the summer and not in May.
Okay. All right. One more time. Real answer.
Yeah, just get to the point, please.
They didn't introduce Will Smith until about 20 minutes into the movie.
Sure.
Which was a risk. That was a big risk for this script. There was no need to have him otherwise until that moment, right? But they brought him in, and it worked out well because, I mean, he was the main protagonist, but he was like the dual protagonist along with Jeff Goldblum.
Well, there was the three. It was the president, David, and Steven. So, like, they had the three, and so you had to work each one of them in, but they did take some chunks on the first two before you got to him, which was fine because he had a bigger part later and later as it goes, right? It's fine.
Completely. And it's not a criticism. It's just an anomaly for a blockbuster.
He is.
It's an interesting
if you look back on it 30 years later, he's the biggest name in the movie.
Yeah. He wasn't at the time, but yes, now he was. Yes.
This is where I said, like, this kicked off his run of these
and
massive
this movie actually
summer blockbusters.
Do you remember that this movie introduced the trailer for Men in Black?
I don't remember that, but
yeah, it
okay.
did. It did.
It must have been a teaser because Men in Black came out literally a year later.
It did, yeah. It was a teaser. Like they showed some key parts. It was basically the scene at the World Trade Fair scene with the ship falling down and TK are just standing there and Jay's looking to his left like, do we move? Do we move? What do we do? Like that was the teaser. So yeah.
Clearly,
I may not be able to remember what I had for lunch today, but I can remember a teaser trailer from 30 years ago.
This really did kind of catapult Will Smith to the upper echelon, being able to corner, be able to basically shoulder a summer blockbuster himself.
Yeah.
Men in Black, Wild Wild West, other Men in Black, just knocking them out.
Yeah. This is peak 90s movie.
Oh yeah.
Peak 90s.
Absolutely.
The economy was roaring. A new industry of the internet was being born. Enron was just beginning to cook its books, so everything was still good. But we were also at a precarious point where it was post Cold War, so we were the only country, the only superpower, basically. China had only been let into the World Trade Organization 2 years prior. So they really weren't making a mark at that point yet. So it was just us on the block. And, you know, as with a lot of situations when it comes to Americans, like, especially with the media, it was like, well, what makes us this special? Why do we deserve this? And this movie was one of those quick highlights to remind us, oh, you know, we can still have this fun stuff. And we, you know, maybe there were some cringe moments where it's just like us being able to do it. But it is this movie that showed, hey, with American ingenuity, we were able to see what the technology was 50 years prior. And that's what I was going to bring up too, DT, was that we were able to copy our computer technology based off of what these aliens were. And that's why the virus itself was compatible, because the code needed that we were able to explore independently was based off of the code from the captured ship. So it wasn't explained in the movie at all, but it was done pretty well in the book. And that's the important part. So there is a continuity there. You know, having to cut things for time it's kind of changes the story, if you will, in that circumstance. So, but I remember seeing commercials for this where it was people were calling into, I don't know, some kind of hotline where they were like, I've seen this 16 times with my family, and I'm gonna see it again this weekend, and this is the mid-August, right? And, you know, this is back when movies were still in theaters for like, I mean, at this point, Jurassic Park had been in the theaters for like 9 months or a year. This movie, I think, was in the theaters for at least 6 months.
Well, they did crank it out, you know, like they teased you and thought, well, if you didn't get in the first weekend, you weren't going to get to see it until it probably came out on video.
Right.
And so people just crammed these theaters. They had multiple showings, even in old-fashioned theaters like we went to.
Yeah.
And it was satisfying to me. It was a thing.
It was satisfying to me.
I go to a movie now, even on an opening weekend, and like, I'm annoyed if there's people on either side of me.
Dude, yes. What movie did I see recently?
But then, you know, it was like, however, some movies really are worth having the full audience. You know?
Yeah.
Like Masters of the Universe, there was a lot of people in that audience. And the fact that I was one of the, you know, graybeards who was in there, and there was plenty of us, kind of made me feel a little better about being there myself. But also, you know, going to see Project Hail Mary, which had been in the theater for several weeks, but still had a pretty good group in there. Like, I remember going to see the Avengers movies in full theaters, like jammed, right?
Yeah, Avengers
but that was 2019. And then pandemic, and I've been in close to full theaters, but never quite like that.
I remember the first full theater post-pandemic was Spider-Man No Way Home. And that was like the first time, like, the schools hadn't even removed the mask mandates at that point in December of 2021. But the theaters were full. You know, elbow to elbow. And I remember that. I didn't feel weird about that at all. Like, they had removed the mask mandates for the theaters at the time, by the way. But it's just funny that it was the schools that didn't yet. I don't know about the Northeast, but yeah. And now I'm in. Last year I went to go see Revenge of the Sith, right? You know, for the anniversary.
Sure.
I left at 45 minutes because I had someone to the left of me and someone to the right of me. And I was sitting there stewing, regretting that I didn't buy 2 other seats around me because I just wanted that freedom. And I heard a whole bunch of like that gross breathing. Like, I just couldn't handle it. 45 minutes, I left. Like,
Yeah.
Just and the Mandalorian and Grogu. I was pissed that there was someone to the left of me and someone to the right of me. That happened. That literally happened. And I'm just like, oh my God.
You know, I kind of wanted to see that one in a full theater. Masters of the Universe, I wanted to see him in a full theater because I wanted to feel it, right? A little bit. I took my family to Mandalorian and Grogu. There was plenty of giggling and cheering and stuff like that. And of course, a little sniffling from my kid, which we've already discussed why.
Yeah.
But you also had like it was kind of refreshing to see a bunch of families in a movie. You know, it was interesting to go see Masters of the Universe to see people like me who clearly grew up with it, and then like people bring in their kids. We're like, what's this? But this was one of those. This was one of those movies that probably had sold out showings for weeks after the first one. After it came out, just jammed.
Sure.
People who couldn't get in. Like they pumped this up so much, it was hard to imagine that it could actually live up to the hype, and it did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
because they did hype this. Holy shit! Like I was so riveted. I'm like, if we don't see this, I'm never gonna see it. Because
did you
if I don't
feel
go
satisfied?
this weekend,
Did you feel satisfied?
I think we all walked out there going, "That was awesome."
I was completely satiated. I thought the movie set out to do exactly what it was advertised. And, when a movie sets out to advertise that and it delivers, that movie needs to be considered for one of the best pictures of the year. I'm not trying to troll or anything, but I think it got one of the best effects or something like that. But it needed contention for best picture. It's fine. It's sci-fi. Sci-fi never gets best picture. Just because it's too imaginative, even though fantasy can get it or whatnot.
Which is weird.
Because people can understand elves and magic more than they can understand high concept ideas of morality play. People are stupid in most circumstances in Hollywood, but whatever. I don't take it back either. I mean it, guys. That's why I don't work for you.
Well,
so
Rotten Tomatoes gave it 77% currently right now of 154 surveyed critics.
Question: do you think it would be that high if it was released now?
Possibly not, because of how it could be perceived as jingoistic.
Yes. I agree.
Heavily American, and it is. There's not really much in the way of an international cast like they did with the sequel, which it's fine. That's just how this movie was made, and you're only seeing it really from an American perspective.
Yeah.
That's all. Sure, did the Americans come up with the game-winning play? Okie dokie, but
hell yeah, they did. Because of course they would.
But again, this was a blockbuster movie in America, made in America. What are you gonna? I mean, it's just it fit for the time, right? I mean, it was outstanding to watch. It was fun. Was it Oscar worthy by script and acting? Maybe not. Was it believable? Sure. I didn't think there was wooden performances. I enjoyed the interaction. There was plenty of good humor, despite all the ridiculous tragedy going on around you. But Will Smith was, his quippy self. Goldblum was his quirky self. You had great Yiddish humor from Judd Hirsch. You had, some very good wit, but also some You had a rousing speech. It checks all the blocks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good guys triumph over bad guys. Humanity works together to defeat an alien invasion.
And it played off of Reagan's idea when he talked about if we had an extraterrestrial threat, all of the countries on Earth would band together, which I believe they would to a certain extent. Most of them anyway. And that works. It's fine. Common enemy, all that other stuff. I got a question for you, and then we'll do ratings. Okay.
Okay.
If tomorrow there was suddenly a massive alien mothership that entered Earth's orbit, what would you do? And we don't know their intentions. They've not been in communication with the U.S. government like the other 4 races have been that have been reported by the news. They have been. The news reported this. That's all I gotta say.
Get on with it.
I'm just saying, what would you do? Like, what would be your move?
You mean me, DT Caveman, or if me being working in the federal government?
No, you, DT Catman, and your family, or working in the federal government. Like, you're not in the federal government; you're a private citizen now, but you are a retired officer. So,
let's just say I'd be hardening my structure, finding, gathering all sorts of perishable materials, just in case. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
I would be buying all the soups, all the beans, all the dried rice, and I would be driving up to the Sierra Mountains and hiding in the mountains as best as possible.
Well, I'm not that close. Well, I mean, I'm close enough to an urban center, I guess. But if it starts to look ugly, I may send the family. But I'm sticking around and I'm showing ET that this ain't his house.
And I would be showing up to an ammo shop asking, kind of demanding for more ammo.
So all them gun laws, you guys enforcing them? Nah,
yeah, not really. All right, here's $1,000. Give me what you got.
All right, I'm going to Providence and looking for Vito.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? So I've thought about that. I mean, it's crossed my mind many times. Like, what if that alien invasion situation was to happen? But it's becoming increasingly, I'm going to delve into the speculative at this point, that I don't think that scenario where they just show up is going to happen. I think the scenario is they've already been here, if they're here at all. Like,
you mean like the Skrulls, like a secret invasion?
Exactly. In some form or another. And I'm not talking like, ooh, reptilians are wearing human skin or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, they've been observing, if they've been here at all. That's my thought. Like, because if you're sophisticated enough to be able to get here, you're sophisticated enough to be able to hide.
Yay!
And you don't want
so
to spend all your resources trying to take over something. Well, I mean, I'm just trying to take it from a practicality perspective, from my limited view of physics and the universe. That's all. It's as best an educated idea as I could possibly come up with. And I know I'm not that well educated. Five stars.
Yeah, wicked 5 stars.
Wicked 5 stars. Now, I would say this is a solid A. This movie is a solid A.
Yep.
Remote drop every time. Doesn't matter what part of the movie you're in. The effects stand out. The music is wonderful. The acting is heartfelt. The loss of Russell in Randy Quaid, that's felt. Like I've observed that loss, and I've tried to take that scene and translate it into my latest book, and I can't do it. And I'm very mad because the structure of my story just won't me allow to have something like that happen. But damn, is that a good is that a good loss but redemption in the eyes of his son when it comes to that kind of stuff. Because all fathers are really meant to do it to protect their family. And
Yeah.
you know, hats off to Russell. You did that. You weren't the best dad, but you came through when it counted. So,
Well, clearly the man has some PTSD, either from actual alien abduction or
from war.
From war. So,
yeah.
I mean, he loved his kids. He was just kind of a mess.
Yeah.
He did his best. When push came to shove, he was there for his, he made sure his kids could live.
Exactly.
So
exactly. And
Randy Quaid, who plays a lot of weird and goofy characters, that sacrifice that moment when he realizes what he has to do really was quite good.
It really was. Randy Quaid is a little loopy, but a
little.
I know, but I'm just trying to trying to acknowledge it, you know what I mean? But and that's what actors are. Most actors are pretty crazy, and the better actors are the craziest. That's been my experience. The better actors are the craziest. They are not normal people. They just can pretend to be normal people, and they do it really well on screen. So sounds like an oxymoron, but that's how they get through life. Spoken from a theater kid who just couldn't translate very well with the theater kids. So
yeah, fair enough.
But did you give your grade?
Yeah, I give it a solid A.
Solid A. I agree.
As a movie to enjoy, rousing summer blockbuster, just fun, kind of mindless action movie. Absolutely.
Yeah. It did everything it meant to do. I've mentioned that before. I love it. I'm happy about it. I'm probably going to watch it tonight, even though I'm supposed to watch Gettysburg. But I got to be honest with you. I kind of want to watch ID4.
Watch ID4, and like I said, we got a week. Watch it in hour increments, man. If you need to.
Yeah, I'll do it in some form or another. Sorry, guys. Hey, look, my doctor gave me an inhaler because it got that bad, guys. Anyway. All right. Until the next time, everybody. We've got a wonderful holiday coming up, probably the holiday of the year. I don't know, DT, you're hosting, I'm hosting. You're actually hosting my brother, at least for a little while.
Yes, I
am. Until he drinks a little too much, and then you have to kick him out.
No, it's probably around the time your nephew decides he wants to go to the pool.
Yeah, actually, that's the more plausible scenario.
Yep.
And then the pool will kick my brother out because he drank too much. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He's a model citizen. He's a model citizen.
Yeah, and we do need to get him on.
We do. I agree, and that'll be good. We'll figure that out later this summer in the coming weeks. But DT, I got to give my best to you. I give my informal salute. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being a part of what makes this nation great. And I appreciate you. I hope you enjoy your the day and your family.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna enjoy the shit out of mine with all the
As
fireworks, all the American songs that I could possibly find, along with "Take Me Home, Country Road," which apparently has become the unofficial theme song of America, from the World Cup. So
when you go to see an Irish band play, two Irish bands, and they come out and in their finale they're doing "Country Road," "Take Me Home, Country Roads" with a whole audience at a Connecticut casino, know that song really hits.
It became an anthem.
All right, my friend.
Right.
Take us out.
Till the next time, everybody. Happy 4th of July. Happy 250th birthday to America, the greatest country I know. You guys keep dreaming. Until the next time, we'll keep working. So long, everybody.
And I'm DT Cavman, and I will enjoy my celebration of our 250th of country that I was proud to serve. And, you know, to our international listeners, thank you for listening. And please understand we are also very much welcoming to the international community. Hope you guys all are great. And come join me on the high ground. You'll have a great view of the celebration.
Not to do one over you, DT, but breaking news: the USA is now going to the 16, the group of 16. USA! Break it down, Chet McKenzie.
That can warp the stars. DT's got stories from cavalry scars. One writes the worlds where the heroes fly, the other old tanks under desert sky. From sandbox forts to the final frontier, 2 kids with dreams and a 6-pack of beer. Different roads, same old spark. Talking Trek till the streetlights spark. We're those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT cannon lighting up the airwaves. Blasters or books, we're geek to the core. Laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys. Mack spins a tale about a rogue AI. Counters with man, I drove that guy. From doom to doom, we argue the stakes while the coffee gets cold and the pizza box breaks. Childhood pals in a grown-up fight for the best damn death scene on a Friday night. Pixels or pages, we're never done. 2 working stiffs chasing alien sun. We're in those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT cabin lighting up the airwaves. Blasters or books, we're geek to the core. Laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, yeah. No capes, no powers, just regular days. But we'll save the galaxy in our own ways. Max drafting novels in the dead of night. DT's got tank tracks, turns them into light. Together we're louder than a hyperdrive scream. 2 regular dudes living the sci-fi dream. Yeah, yeah, we're with those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT cabin lighting up the airwaves. From the sandbox to the stars, we'll never say die. Tune in, geek out, those sci-fi guys. Oh, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Next week, Blade Runners or Replicants. Bring the Bourbon Rider boys, gonna get real.